Hello, welcome to Do It Yourself with
Fernando,
Robert,
and Adam. We are three guys who try stuff every month. No other channel or person has ever done this concept before.
never heard of it.
yeah, not at all.
Happy Halloween. We're doing spooky stories this month. We each took a month, this is true, to write a spooky story. That was the assignment. Let's get into it. Let's start with Fernando.
All right, cool.
I'm excited.
Virgil, I wake up with the same dream, vision, whatever you'd like to call it. I see her. I miss her. What do I do to see the light in your eyes once again? Every day, he thinks about them, the light they would bring in the room. Lately, he hasn't been the same, just locked up in his room, dreaming, but every time he dreams and is forced to see her getting more pale and purple and even blood at her face, Virgil says, I remember her. I want to see her light and her smile that can make a beast chuckle and laugh, and even if it's just for a second. Suddenly, another vision pours down Virgil's head. Virgil, I see her again. Tears roar through his eyes. It always happens the same way again and again. She drowns in the water. Virgil, I hate sunny days. I hate myself. I hate how much of a coward I was. I couldn't jump in the water. I would die to... Virgil gets another vision. A hand comes out of the water, pale as bleach, cracked leather, cut, stained. Virgil is frozen. They see a person in the same white dress. It looks like his, but not the light they have is a different hue of white and a dirty one that they hug them. Virgil, shocked. It's not the same, but it's like a warm, the void, but it hurts. Blanca says, come meet where it all began, Virgil. Come save me. Be brave this time for me, please. Blanca pulls Virgil into the water. There's demons that pull him down and he can't breathe. Virgil wakes up to the water shooting out of his mouth. Virgil says, tonight, this ends. No more dreams, no more crying, no more being locked up in my room anymore. Virgil looks at his clothes, cleans up the cuts, his eyes, his long nails. It's been a while since he's smiled. Virgil says, I'll be over soon, tonight. I'm ready. I've been practicing, and it's the only thing that I've been thinking about, focusing about. If I could have another chance again, I would save you. I've been carrying all this guilt. No more. Virgil walks out with the nicest pair of clothes that he's had in a while. He sees her dancing again from afar by the lake. Virgil, no, come back. Virgil starts sprinting, drops his things, but she fails, and she falls in. Virgil sees the lake and jumps in. He thinks in his head, Virgil, not this time, not again. Virgil sees them with a vision of light, a beautiful light that he grabs, and his hand gets brought in. He swims into the lake. Virgil, I did it. I saved you this time. Blanca speaks. Virgil, you know I'm not her, right? Virgil says, I know. I just wanted to know if I could do it this time. You can call it selfish. Blanca stops him. I don't think you are selfish. You know who I am. Virgil nods in silence. Blanca, they call me many names, but for my actions of drowning my children, I was given those names. Virgil replies, I'm ready. Virgil pulls out his hand. Blanca holds his hand from the child to a woman. He lets go of the lost child. Virgil, do you think I would have saved her today? Blanca, yes. Virgil, thank you. Newspaper article. Beloved son and friend, lifeguard and community service member, died last night. Found dead, drowned at Lake Seoul. Suspect still at large, maybe a woman with sharp nails, suffocation on the deceased body.
Okay.
All right. And what was your inspiration behind that?
So the time when I wrote this on the to the studio, so it wasn't really
on the way.
quick.
Yeah.
So what I like, it's kind of always been like a dream I've had before. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of like based a little bit off of La Llorona, mm-hmm. and a little bit mm-hmm. of like my dreams that I usually have. Like I had a reoccurring dream. This is kind of like based off of a play that I've already written.
Okay.
So I kind of did it in like a playwriter's like style.
It does sound like you need a dream therapist or something, buddy.
Maybe, man. I have been taking melatonin for 3 years straight.
Three
That'll
whole
do it.
years.
Every day.
Yeah. I would like to go next if that's okay.
Go right ahead.
Yeah. All right. Well, I did not write mine on the way to the studio.
Oh my gosh, Adam.
It took me a week.
It's front and back.
Yeah, it's 4 pages total, about 2,000 something words. I'm going to try to rush through this.
That's not a short story, Adam.
It is.
That's not a short story.
It's a short story. It's not a novel. All right. So my inspiration was mostly like creepypasta styles. So let's go into it. Oh no. Okay, I think it's this way. Monday, August 4th, 2014. Yo, party people, it's your girl, Sarah Carey, coming at you with a new adventure. If you haven't seen the last video from my extreme team, we're Sarah's Urban Spelunking on YouTube, or SUS. A week ago, we got back from some semi-illegal self-touring at Chernobyl. Don't worry, we're all clean. And we've already got a lead on what's next, but shh, it's kinda a secret for now. Legally, it's tricky, as in no one is supposed to go there, period. Or we could get into a lot of international trouble if we're caught. So, also just in case any feds are reading this, anything we say we did that's illegal is technically a joke. Now that the feds are appeased, everyone else pay attention to the blog over the next couple weeks. It's going to be crazy out here. You want the spoiler-free preview? We're bringing stun guns, knives, and survival kits with us. Also, for fun, some psych tests, just in case one of us loses our minds. Friday, August 8th, 2014. Hey, feds can't stop us now, we're here! Guess I can finally let the cat out of the bag. SUS has officially infiltrated Poveglia. Does that mean anything to you? Probably not. But if you're in the urban spelunker community, you may have heard of it. Here's the rundown. Right cozy near Venice is this island, once used as a quarantine for plague victims before that passed and things calmed down. Just kidding. No rest for the wicked here, since immediately they slapped a mental hospital on it where they supposedly did torturous experiments until it closed in 1968. Some say it's haunted, but of course, that's hooey. What's more interesting? There are probably hundreds of untold stories within its walls. That's an urban spelunker's dream, to explore abandoned infrastructure and institutions to discover humanity that got left behind. Travel to the island is shut down by Italy, so we had to sneak in on boats. It's not like we're the first people to ever do this, but still, we didn't want to say anything about it until we were already here, just in case some agency tried to stop us. We kept our team small so it'd be easier to sneak around. You got me, Spock Enoch, yes, that's his real name, on camera for our YouTube channel, and Skylar Tones. She's new to the Herb Spelunky game and is more or less just a helping hand. We set up camp on the second floor of the asylum and we're already exploring tomorrow. Saturday, August 9th, 2014. Some of you have asked why we bring stun guns and the like on expeditions like this. Honestly, it's a bit of a Jurassic precaution and I can recognize that. There are sometimes wildlife concerns when we enter a new area like an island, though we've really rarely seen are like birds and some small animals. There's a bit of a misconception out there about the dangers of homeless people or squatters. It's true, sometimes we encounter people in the abandoned hotels, barns, sewers, etc. that we explore, but most people end up in places like that because they have nowhere else to go. They want to avoid the police. They usually just want to be left alone, so we do leave them alone. We also want to be left alone. That being said, all people are people and people are unpredictable. It'd be silly for us to have nothing to protect ourselves if it came down to it. Hope that clears things up. On this subject, we actually had a bit of a scare last night. We don't really set up watch since there's not any chance of anyone else being here, but we all woke up in the pitch black to the creepiest sounds echoing down the dirty asylum hallways. It was like static mixed with human voices, with clicking and whining and what sounded like scraping metal. I'll be real, I was frozen there for a solid 5 minutes before I finally kicked off my sleeping bag and headed down the hall. I was just in my own head, and I said as much to Spock. He was like, "You're going to die if you go down there. If it's a person, we should just let them be. If it's a ghost, you'll just die. I don't know what to tell you." But sometimes it's stupid to let your brain win. I listened to my heart instead and impulsively followed the noise. It was coming from the opposite side of the building, right over where former mental patient cells were. My phone was my flashlight. I saw silhouettes. Someone jumped out of one of the rooms and I screamed louder than I ever have, jumping 3 feet in the air. Long story short, we're not the only people exploring the island this weekend. Special shout out to the Ghost Catcher. I know I said I don't go for supernatural stuff, but it makes sense that ghost hunters would also be interested in Poveglia. He was using his EMT devices, or whatever they're called, to try and talk to the dead mental patients and plague victims. That's the noise we heard. We just agreed to stay out of each other's way, but don't be surprised if you catch me on one of his TV episodes. Sunday, August 10th, 2014. Yesterday was awesome. We went out to the island and found some plague pits. It's hard to find stories in there since there's nothing left really, no books or significant artifacts to piece together what happened when this was still a quarantine island, but it was still interesting. We checked out the bell tower, but of course there's no bell there anymore. Skylar was pretty disappointed about that. She was psyched about ringing it. This morning we slept in, catching in on sleep we lost on Saturday. We checked the side of the island on the other side of the canal, but it's all woods. When we came back, we ran into the Ghost Catcher guy again. He doesn't seem to care about us. You know, despite my earlier shout out to him, he kind of seems pretentious. I tried to explain to him what urban spelunking was, and he acted like somehow ghost hunting was more legit. To be fair, he looked pretty frustrated. I guess he's been out here a few weeks and hasn't found squat. Big surprise. Monday, August 11th, 2014. Okay, I can't hold it in anymore. This is unreal. I don't even know how to begin. You'll see it on our YouTube channel once we get back to the mainland where the internet is better. Right now the video won't upload because the reception's terrible. Luckily these text posts seem to go through fine, but here it is. Maybe all the ghost stories aren't hooey? I don't know why I'm sugarcoating it, I'll be blunt. We saw a ghost. We filmed a ghost. It was clear as day, undeniable, real. We had found an office filled with untouched paperwork, a veritable treasure trove of personality. We were pouring through expenditure reports, letters, personnel files, and the like when the air dropped to freezing. It was sudden, like someone dropping an ice cube down your back. Skylar was holding the flashlight for me while I was going through the filing cabinets, and she swung the light around to light up the dark office. It was like the light of her flashlight was sucked into a black void in the shape of a person. A shadow in the middle of the beam staring at us, reaching toward us. There was a ringing in my ears like tinnitus. I couldn't look away. Skylar dropped the flashlight and it was gone, blended back into the darkness of the room, sunk back into the corners of the walls. And when Skylar picked it back up, there wasn't anything in the office with us anymore. Spock caught the whole thing. Not only was he fitted with the GoPro, but he had his HD camera shooting too. We checked the footage and everything showed up, crystal clear. Maybe we should have been more discreet when we were checking the footage though. We were in our hideout and I heard a loud, "What the F word?" right behind us. The ghost catcher caught us, having gotten his goat, or rather, having gotten his ghost. We told him that we had to post it, but he insisted we give the footage to him for him to use. Something about how this has been his whole life, how big it would be for him if he put out actual proof of ghosts on TV, how ghosts had nothing to do with what we were trying to accomplish, yada yada. Is he crazy? There's no way we can just not post the video. It's probably the craziest thing that's ever happened to Sus, and would absolutely blow up on YouTube. I don't know what to say to the catcher man. Sucks to suck, I guess. Wednesday, September 24th, my birthday, 2014. Sorry for the hiatus. I've gotten a lot of questions about why I haven't released the video yet, why there haven't been updates, what's been going on. It's hard to talk about all this, but you deserve an update. I'm sure someone would have figured it out eventually, but I'll start from where it left off, I guess. The night after we got the footage, we heard that weird EMT device again. It kept me up. Just something about the way it reverberated through the concrete, so alien and unsettling. I marched down the hallway to confront the ghost catcher about shutting down for the night, but when I reached his hideout at the far end of the building, it was empty. The EMT was going off with no one there. My phone died, and I was back in the dark. Well, mostly. There's a lot of holes in the walls of that asylum, and the moon was shining really brightly, so I couldn't get around. A new sound echoed through the walls, a squelching, a cry, gurgling, stuff like that. You have to be careful when you run into places like that, since the floors sometimes give way, there's exposed nails, jagged wood. I tripped on my way back to our camp, cut my leg pretty good. Spock and Skylar were still lying in their sleeping bags. I thought it was okay. There was a pure black silhouette against a hole in the wall. Moonlight sucked into the humanoid shape. It stepped toward me. The silhouette stayed where it was. There was another figure approaching me, getting bigger. A knife swung at my throat. I jumped backward and cried. I screamed, but I was also crying. The knife he was using was Spock's. I ran as best as I could, but my legs stung every time I slammed my foot down. It was like in every sliver of moonlight I could see another silhouette, another ghost, someone who died in the most horrible way, hundreds of them. I was going to be one of them. I knew Spock and Skylar had already joined them. But if you haven't figured it out by now, it was the ghost catcher. His real name is Benjamin Adji, which you'd know if you'd seen the show, but I haven't mentioned it here yet. I got cornered at the end of the hall, curled up in one of the patient's cells. I sobbed. What are you doing? Is this about that stupid video? He was crazed, probably pumped full of adrenaline. He said, "Dadoy." He lunged at me again. I rolled away, hearing the knife scrape against the concrete wall right where I was. "That's nuts," I said as I started crawling. "You just immediately jumped to killing us?" He laughed and said, "What's the big deal? We know there's ghosts now. Afterlife confirmed. Murder's not such a big deal." I was still facing away from him, so all I heard was the knife clatter to the floor. I turned around, first with my arms up in front of my face, but soon I dropped them. They were exhausted anyway. I watched slumped against the wall as Benjamin stood frozen in the moonlight. It made his skin look extra pale, almost the same color as the illuminated concrete wall behind him. Two shadows loomed over him from either side, like they were bleeding away from their wall. Their arms came up from under his own and clutched his chest. They pulled him against the wall. His mouth was open, and his eyes were wide. He didn't make any sound. His body looked squeezed against the hard concrete until the edges of his body disappeared, and he almost melded with the building itself, dissolving into the wall. It was like when you look at a bright light and then close your eyes. The outline of his body was still there on the wall, even though it wasn't. Then the outline filled in. It became gray, then darker, then black. I let my leg rest a few days, then I left the island. I haven't known what to do over the past month. I privately took care of Spock and Skylar's families and all that. I still have the video. Part of me doesn't want anyone else to see it. I know that doesn't make sense. My gut tells me it'd be more respectful for me not to post it. I know this whole thing isn't over. I've got a lot on my plate right now. I don't know when I'll ever get back to this blog or the channel, but for now I'm thinking about everywhere I've been and all the people who were there before me. That's all. And for all the feds reading, this was just a joke.
Wow.
Did I go over 10 minutes? I hope not. I was reading as fast as I could.
I'm impressed. One, at that story. Two, at how quickly you read those 4 pages.
I'm glad. I just wanted to get it out fast. Based on like creepypastas, obviously, and a certain ghost story that one of my friends told me while I was visiting his house.
I wonder who that was.
Have you ever spelunked before?
No, but my brother did. I consulted him. Well, not, or he urban spelunked.
Okay, cool.
So I consulted him about that whole side of it.
Got you.
In the bitter cold of Antarctica, the year 1924 stretched like an eternity, a frozen hell where the sun was a distant memory. Captain Harold Finch led a motley crew of explorers, their hearts fueled by ambition and the allure of the unknown. With him was Dr. Eliza Hartley, a geologist with a fierce intellect and a handful of adventurers, all compelled by the promise of glory in the last unexplored wilderness. As they established their camp amidst the desolate white landscape, a thick fog rolled in, swallowing the horizon, dimming the sun's feeble light. The wind howled like a mournful specter, and the air crackled with a palpable unease, as if the very land was alive with secrets that should have remained buried. Days passed in bitter monotony, till a sudden storm forced them to seek their shelter. When the blizzard subsided, they stumbled upon a massive ice-encased monolith rising from the ground. Its surface married by strange, pulsating symbols that seemed to writhe under their gaze. Eliza's heart raced with the thrill of discovery, but the others hesitated, sensing an unspoken warning in the icy air. Ignoring their trepidation, they began to excavate the monolith. The temperature plummeted, and the fog thickened, wrapping around them like a shroud. As they worked, the whispers began. A low resonating hum that vibrated through the ice, creeping into their minds like a serpent. That night, as they huddled around a sputtering fire, the whispers grew louder, entwining themselves with their thoughts. They spoke of ancient beings, forgotten gods, and cosmic horrors that lurked just beyond the veil of reality. Each member of the crew felt the cold tendrils of madness creeping in, the shadows around them growing longer, darker, and more sentient. Dr. Hartley, unable to resist the call of the monolith, ventured out into the blizzard, her mind a tempest of curiosity and dread. The whispers beckoned her, promising forbidden knowledge. As she approached the towering structure, the world around her fell silent. The wind stilled as if the universe held its breath. In that moment, she felt the ice shift beneath her, the monolith glowing with an otherworldly light. The ground trembled, and grotesque shapes began to emerge from the frost. Dark, amorphous figures that twisted and writhed, their forms a nightmarish parody of life. Eliza's sanity splintered as she gazed into the depths, for she knew that they were not mere beings. They were the very essence of despair, hungry for the warmth of human souls. As the other explorers searched for her, they found only her footprints leading to the monolith, then abruptly vanishing into the snow. Panic clawed at their throats, and the whispers crescendo into a cacophony of screams. Each voice a fragment of soul devoured by the abyss. Captain Finch, now desperate, rallied the remaining crew to leave, but the storm engulfed them, isolating them into a nightmarish domain of ice and shadow. One by one, they succumbed to their madness, drawn to the monolith's siren call, their screams lost in the howling winds, echoes swallowed by the icy maw of their ancient horror. Days turned into weeks. The records of their expedition revealed only frantic scrawls, warning against the depths of the ice, filling with ramblings of an insatiable darkness that clawed at their minds. Then silence. Years later, a subsequent expedition stumbled upon the remnants of Finch's camp, buried under a fresh layer of snow. The monolith loomed over the desolate landscape, its surface slick and glistening, as if it were alive. The air was thick, with a sense of dread, each breath a reminder of the horrors that lay beneath. As they examined the camp, they discovered torn pages filled with frantic pleas, scrawled in a wild hand, warning against the depths of the ice. Last entry read, "It knows us. It watches. We are not alone." Suddenly the wind howled again, carrying with it the faint echoes of madness, warning to any who dared disturb the frozen abyss. The explorers felt an overwhelming sense of being watched, as if unseen eyes were tracking their every movement. They retreated quickly, glancing over their shoulders. But the shadows around them seemed to shift and pulse, hungry for the warmth of life. As they fled, the whispers returned, wrapping around them like a shroud, promising that the ice would never forget those who had disturbed its ancient slumber. And deep beneath the frozen surface, the dark shapes stirred, their hunger insatiable, waiting for the next foolish mortals to awaken them from their slumber.
And what was your process?
So there's this game, I don't remember the name of it, but it's based on H.P. Lovecraft. I love H.P. Lovecraft. There's another one that's also based on H.P. Lovecraft's writings. I started out with kind of a base structure. Captain Finch was one of them, and then the other characters kind of fell in tone. I was actually going to make this much longer, kind of similar to yours, and then I was like, oh no, that's not a short story.
Mine's a short story.
It's not a short story. But I scrapped certain pieces of it. There is a complete other, there are like other chapters to this, actually, because I just got on a writer's spree and I just kept going. There's like 4 chapters. Each of them can be read on their own, which is what I wanted.
Yeah.
Yeah. Basically, my ADHD saved me here.
Well, you mentioned liking H.P. Lovecraft. Fernando, do you have any, like, horror direct inspirations? I have one. Mine is Rod Serling. Absolutely a hero of mine. And as far as horror goes, he's my biggest influence, probably.
Nice.
Yeah.
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 My head goes into dark places.
Your head goes into dark places?
My head goes into dark places,
Can you think of a person whose horror work inspires you?
The dark
Dude,
places.
honestly, a lot of things don't really scare me. So, like, I really, like, it's funny because, like, I'll watch, like, something or read something and I'm not, I tend to laugh when, like, I'm in a scary movie. Like, I watched Conjuring 2 and everyone's just like, oh, dude, they're handing, like, therapist, like, cards outside. I was laughing. I saw The Nun and I just started laughing.
I've only seen a handful of actual horror movies.
I freaking love horror movies. Like you, I also am not scared by much.
It's really hard to get something that's, like, I don't know. And maybe I should just enjoy the movie.
I'm easily scared. That's my problem. I've seen It, the reboot, with some coworkers. I was pressured into it, but I was wearing a hat, so I only had to watch half the screen at a time. I saw Nope with a bunch of horse wranglers. We were working at a Western-themed summer camp, so that was surreal. And then the other one I saw was, I don't remember.
I think jump scares are kind of, like, cheap.
Oh yeah, no, me too. I like
like
the subtle horror where it's like it's slowly building up and then eventually you see the thing that
So I kind of noticed like a difference between all of our, like, stories. So, like, I wrote in a playwright aspect.
Oh yeah.
Adam wrote, like, kind of like in a newsletter aspect, like
a blog. Yeah.
Well,
yours was just narrative.
Like it was just like
novel.
it was like book, right?
Yeah.
Also, our 3 kinds of horror were different. Yours was like a supernatural kind of horror, a dread, a ghost story. Mine was like a slasher kind of. It had supernatural elements, but that's not what was scary. And yours was cosmic horror. That's cool.
Yeah.
It's cool that we did that different.
Well, boys, this has been a lot of fun.
This has been so much fun. Full disclosure, when we originally did 2 test episodes for this whole podcast, and this was the second test episode, but now we're bringing it back to do Halloween.
Maybe next time I'll read the actual one I was supposed to read for the test episode, which never happened.
Maybe next time we'll have a campfire.
Yeah, we'll do that, yeah.
That'll be in our exclusive content.
Production, we have the budget for that, right?
We can light a fire in the studio.
I got a lighter.
And it ends with us burning alive, like a horror story.
I think I actually have somewhere I gotta be.
Wow. Thanks.
We didn't say
Do it yourself.
the other thing.
What?
F-bomb.
Oh, well, you missed it.
You can do it right now. We can do it right now.
I said
All right.
F word.
3, 2, 1.
Fuck. We're allowed one cuss word.
And cut.